Okay, so let's start. So a very good morning all. Up to the last session, sorry, this is the first session of the Docker and Kubernetes classes. Okay, so we are about to start this. So before we go into the concepts of Docker and Kubernetes, that is nothing but a containerization platform, which we call it as a containerization platform. So it is going to take an 25 to 30 days of sessions. I'm not very particularly saying you that it is going to take this much amount of time. But the point is, so whatever the Docker and Kubernetes that we are talking, so it is going to take somewhere around 20 to 30 days of class. Okay, take it as 20 to 30 days of class. And every day the session will start around 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. So the first thing is duration. Duration will be 20 to 30 days. Okay, so 30 working days. Okay, and time will be at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so and this will be the weekdays. Okay, not the weekends. So Saturday and Sunday will be off. So Monday to Friday you will have the sessions. So that's what I just want to address it. And the time will be 6 a.m. This is the first thing that you need to understand. The second one is, so what are the sessions that we are taking? So I am saying you that this session will start at 6 a.m. in the morning. And what is the topic? What are the topics that we are going to discuss? The primary topics that we are into the discussion is Docker and Kubernetes. So these concepts that we are going to discuss, which is in the another way, if I have to say, these are the containerization platforms. Okay, so now what is a containerization that we will discuss? Docker is a containerization and Kubernetes is an orchestration platform. Okay, so about these things we are going to discuss. So why we need to understand these in the combination? So right now I am saying you Docker and Kubernetes, and that is nothing but containerization and orchestration. Why we have to learn these into a particular segment? Okay, so the first concept is Docker, which is very important for you, and that is the base for your Kubernetes. If you want to get a clear cut understanding and a clear cut picture about the Kubernetes and what is meant by pods, what is meant by deployments, what is meant by services, what are the different services that are available on the Kubernetes, why we need to go for the Kubernetes. If you need to have a brief understanding about those concepts, for you, this Docker is very important. Until you get a clear cut knowledge on Docker, you cannot go into the Kubernetes concept. So it's very important to have a brief understanding about the Docker and containerization. Any containerization platform. Here I am not only talking about Docker. So the primary basic concepts that we are going to discuss is containerization. So among containerization, Docker is one of the tools that help us to understand what is a container and what is a volume, what is a Docker volume or else container volumes, container images. These are the concepts that we are going to cover. But the primary point, what the basic point, what you need to understand here is what is Docker. Okay, what is a container? Okay, so first things first, you need to understand container. Okay, and later you can go with the Docker, later you can go with the Kubernetes. So see, it's like a core of your entire concepts. Okay, container is a core of your entire concepts, like how we are going to get in detail about, for example, if you want to learn any IT technologies, okay, any IT technologies, basically you need to have an understanding about a computer. Okay, what is a computer? That's a basic thing. Okay, so on computer you are going to install the languages like Python, Java, and C and Go, Ruby, like that. You will have multiple languages. So these are all, if you want to learn all these languages, basically you need to understand what is a computer and how you are going to work with these programming languages. So in the same manner, so containerization means it's a platform. Okay, so where containers are going to run. So on this containerization, we have platforms like Docker. Okay, so for example, if you want to run Java, okay, if you want to run a Java application, Java is a platform. Okay, so where Java will be running, Java can run on my system, nothing but my Windows system, or else it can run on a Linux machine, or else it can run on a Mac machine, or else it can be running on an IBM server or Kali Linux or else any Linux server. So which means that, so that platform, whatever the application that we have created, that application can be working on the multiple platforms like my computer or your computer or Windows or Linux or Mac. That is what I just want to make sure you understand about this container. So container is a core where this container can be running on a multiple containerization platform like Docker, Rocket, RKT, containerd, like that. You will be having multiple containerization platforms. Among those containerization platforms, the most widely used platform is Docker. Okay, so that's why we are going to learn about Docker. I hope you understand this. Again, I'm repeating for your understanding. So containers are the basic concepts which we are going to learn, not Docker. Okay, so we are going to learn about containers. Okay, so if you understand what is a container, that is what the core concept that you are going to learn here, not about the Docker, of course. So whatever the concepts that we are going to cover, that will be covered on the Docker platform. Okay, so it's a platform which will be carrying you containers. Okay, so we are going to learn about the containers that are running on a Docker platform. Like that, you will be having the containers that are running on containerd, or else you can have CTRIO, or else you can have RKT. Like that, you will be having multiple containerization platforms. Okay, so basically we will be learning about the containers. Those are running on the Docker platform. Okay, so that's the first thing what you need to understand. And the second question here is what is a Kubernetes? Okay, that we will go in deep into the concepts when we have completed the Docker. So first and foremost thing, again coming back to the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an orchestration tool. What is an orchestration tool that we will cover, of course, for your understanding. So we are discussing about the containers. So what is this container and how it is going to run, and what are the images that we need to take care of, container images and all the things. But before that, you need to have a basic understanding about the Docker, so that we will cover, and later we will go ahead into the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an orchestration tool. Like Kubernetes, you will be having OpenShift is one of the platform that you are having. Docker Swarm is one of the platform that you are having, and and a few more platforms are like that. Okay, so if I go ahead, there are so many several platforms that will be helpful for you to understand the orchestration. Among those orchestration tools, the basic and most important tool, most widely used tool is Kubernetes. Of course, nowadays OpenShift is also coming across with the Kubernetes. Okay, so both are the orchestration tools which will be widely using. One is OpenShift and the other one is Kubernetes. So, but the commands will be the similar ones. So here, what you are going to learn, Docker and Kubernetes. So why, what is a Docker, what you are going to learn, and what is Kubernetes, what you are going to learn. So basically, when you go into the Docker concepts, so what is the syllabus? Am I clear up to here? Any questions, guys? I will go with the introduction part once I say you about the syllabus and what is my qualification to say you this, or else to conduct these training sessions. But before I go into the syllabus portion, I just want to know, do you have any further questions? Up to now, am I clear? That I will explain you, Dave. Dave. Uh, Cool. So we have a clear-cut understanding about this Docker and Kubernetes. It's like what is the basic things. Next, coming back to the Docker syllabus, I am just explaining you the Docker syllabus. Once Docker is completed, then I can go with the Kubernetes. But I can give you a basic overview of Kubernetes, not the entire syllabus. Okay, so what we are going to cover into this. So in Docker, when you come here, the first concept will be basics of containers, which means why we need to go with the containerization. What is the basic thing? What is the difference between server, virtual machine, and a container? These are the things that we are going to discuss. And the second one will be introduction to Docker. So in this, what is Docker? And then you will be having installing Docker on Windows and Linux machines. I'm going to teach you on these concepts on AWS server. Okay. So if you are having your own Linux machine, you can run your own Linux machine. Either it will be with the virtualization platform or else anything. So if you have a Linux machine, you can run that. If you don't have this, go with an AWS server. Next one will be once we have gone over through this, pass through this, then we will go ahead into the concept of containers. So what is a container? And this is a basic one, which you can take it as an introduction to the Docker itself. Okay, here only you can get this. And here you can go with the Docker networking. Okay, this will be the third one, Docker networking. It is going to take somewhere around 1 or 2 classes to complete introduction to Docker and Docker networking concepts. And then containers, and here very importantly, this is very important concept of your entire Docker and Kubernetes: containers and container images. Very important. Without images, you cannot create a container. You cannot run a container. Images are very important, just like your as an operating system. So without operating system, how you cannot run your computer? In the same manner, without the images, you cannot run the containers. So what is meant by an Docker image? How we are going to create the Docker images, and what are the instructions that we will use to create the images? So what I will say, uh, instruction instructions to create an image. Okay, so just like your programming language, so if you want to create an applications, whatever the programming, Python programming, or else the coding which we are using, or else if you go to the Java, the classes, and whatever the coding technologies that you are using, like whatever the lines of code that you are writing. In the same manner, in the containers, if you want to create an container, you need to create an image. If you want to create an image, what are the different types of instructions that we can use to create the image? There are certain instructions like from, env, arg, label. These are the basic instructions. When you come back to this, run, cmd, entry point, and then copy, add, working directory. Like that, you will be having multiple instruction sets. Okay, so what are the instructions and what is the use case of these instructions? And in between this, when we go into the Docker introduction itself and containers, we are going to go with another concept called as Docker lifecycle. Docker life cycle and Docker. What I can say you here is Docker lifecycle, and then we can go with yeah, that's what Docker lifecycle in the sense how to start the containers and how to run the containers, and then we will go ahead with the container lifecycle simply if I have to say. And these are the things that we are going to discuss. Pause and shutdown. These concepts we will understand in the Docker lifecycle. And the next one is here only we will learn about the Docker architecture. Okay, so I can make this in the introduction itself. Okay, because this will be basic thing that you need to understand to have a deep understanding about the Docker networking and the containers. So I will cover in the introduction itself. So containers and instructions to create the containers, and later on we will go with the Docker volumes. Okay, so Docker volumes, and the last and final one will be Docker swarm. So with this we will wind up the Docker. So if you see here, of course we'll go a little slow when the Docker is about to commit. So the first and foremost thing, basics, and then introduction to Docker, Docker networking, containers, and volumes, and Docker swarm. With the Docker swarm, we are going to complete the entire Docker. So I don't know if you instructors won't cover the Docker swarm, but it is also an important tool which comes with the Docker itself. It is also an orchestration tool like your Kubernetes. So when we go into the Kubernetes, you will understand what is orchestration. But so here we are going to cover the Docker Swarm also. It is a development environment orchestration tool, or else it's a simple orchestration tool which can manage the containers. Okay, so that's the first thing that we are going to understand about the Docker. Right. And yes, and then when we go with the Kubernetes, what you are going to learn with the Kubernetes, if I say you about very in deep about the Kubernetes pods and all things, you will get a little bit confusion about that, but simply I'm going to give you an outer line for your understanding. The first and foremost thing in the Kubernetes, what you are going to learn here is uh, intro to Kubernetes, or else simply I will write it as KTS. And then second one is after introduction, you will have the primary architecture of Kubernetes. What are the different components that are involved inside the orchestration? So simply, if I have to say, what I can say you here, API manager, okay, or else I can go with the API server, Kubernetes API server, and then KTS controllers, KTS controllers like cloud controller and KTS controller. Simply, please try to understand whenever I am using the word KTS, that is Kubernetes. Okay. And then what is etcd? Uh, and then we are going to learn about KTS scheduler. And what else? KTS, or else we call it as kubelet and kubeprocs. So we will learn about this, and then CNI. Okay, container network interfaces that we are going to cover. And so these are the concepts that we are going to cover in the introduction of Kubernetes, and then micro versus what I can say. You need to have a basic understanding about the microservices. So Kubernetes will comes under the microservice architecture. So we will discuss about the microservices. So this is what the introduction towards the Kubernetes, and then we'll discuss about the primary components of Kubernetes. That will be first one, pods and replica set and deployments. These are the primary components of the Kubernetes. And later one will be services, KTS services. Under this KTS services, we are going to discuss about what I can say. Yeah. So the first and foremost thing will be what I can say, load balancer service. load balancer service and node port service and cluster IP and external service. Okay, these are the different services that we are going to understand, but everything, whatever we are discussing among the Kubernetes, we are going to have a manifest. So what is this manifest? Manifest is nothing but it's a YAML file. Okay, YAML file or else YAML file which we are going to run or else which we are going to create all these components. Whatever, if you want to create a pod in Kubernetes, you need to run the YAML file. If you want to work with deployment, you need to work with the YAML file. So you have to write a code in the YAML format. So just like how you are going to write, if you want to create a web page, how you are going to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if you want to run a Java language application, then how you are going to write a Java application or else Java coding. In the same manner, if you want to create the pods or else if you want to create the services, so whatever you want to do, so that will be work. So you will be closely working with the manifest. So manifest is the what I can say YAML file that will be helpful for you to create all these resources. Okay, and after Kubernetes service, we will discuss about the roles. Okay, KATS roles. Okay, I will simply call it as RBAC, role based access control. And fifth one will be there are so many things like KATS, what I can say, storage. Okay, and KATS under storage, you will have multiple segments like how I have discussed about the services and the primary components. And RBAC, you will have role based, okay, and cluster wise. Okay, so how you are going to create a cluster based roles and normal roles, and then you will be going with the role binding and cluster bindings. So there are some what I can say 4 or 5 operations that you are going to do with the RBAC. And when you come back to the storage, you will have ephemeral storage and PV, persistence volumes and persistent volume claims, and how you are going to connect with the EBS and how you are going to work with the EFS with Kubernetes. So this will comes under the storage. And then KATS advanced scheduling. Okay, so these concepts that you are going to check out with Kubernetes advanced scheduling, and then you will go ahead with the Kubernetes networking policies. It's just a simple one class of concept it is. And then finally, we will work around with the AWS EKS. Okay, so I am not very sure about the EKS, but if time is there, then we will cover the EKS concept. And basically we will be into the core concept of Kubernetes itself. Okay, so these are the topics that we are going to cover. And when we go into the Kubernetes, these are only not the topics that we are going to cover. There are so many topics that we are going to cover when we go into the Kubernetes. So one by one we will discuss. Okay, and I will give a clear cut picture when we go into the Kubernetes concepts. So these are the basic primary concepts that we are going to discuss. uh, so this is the total syllabus which we are going to cover. So in this syllabus, do you have any questions? Jenkins will not comes under the containerization. Here we are going to cover only containerization. So Jenkins is an CI/CD pipelining tool. And when you come to the Grafana and Prometheus, Prometheus is a monitoring tool, and Grafana is an what I can say, it's an uh, what I can say metric providing solution. Okay, it's a graphical metric providing solution. How much CPU is consumed, how much RAM is consumed. So that can be shown in a graphical format. Prometheus will be comes under the monitoring tool. So how at any single point of time, how your server is running, how your server is behaving, that can be given by the Prometheus. So those will not comes under the containerization platform. But when we go into the Kubernetes, here we can check out with the help of this monitoring tools like Prometheus. We can go with the cluster monitoring, KATS cluster monitoring. We can cover here. And when you come to the Jenkins, I am not going to cover the entire Jenkins, but with the help of CI/CD like Jenkins pipelining, how we can automate the code and how we can create the containers and how we can involve those containers into the Kubernetes, that I can show you. So using Jenkins pipeline, how to integrate the code with KATS. If you are having a simple code, how you can integrate that code with the, how you can convert that code into an application, and then how you are going to implement that in with the Docker, and how you can take ahead with the containerization or else orchestration platform like KATS, like step by step, stage by stage, we can write a Jenkins pipeline if you want. So that I can assure you, but this is not the class for the Jenkins. Okay, it's a CIC, it's not a CI/CD pipelining sessions. We are going to discuss only about the containerization. And when you come to the Prometheus and Grafana, I can say you that I can give you the basic understanding about what is Prometheus and what is Grafana, and how we are going to utilize those Prometheus and Grafana in the Kubernetes cluster monitoring. That will comes under the metric selections. Okay, so I am running a pod. So try to understand. It's like a scenario. Now I am running a pod. How much amount of resources the pod is consuming, or else how much amount of resources the container is consuming. So that you can get from with the help of Prometheus. Okay, so and then you will have Kibana, and like that you will have ELK stack will be there. So those will be helpful for you to monitor, closely monitor the pods. Okay, so partially yes, for whatever the question that you have asked, are you going to cover the Grafana and Prometheus? Grafana, I'm not very sure about that, but yes, Prometheus we can cover with the help of, because of we are going to cover the cluster monitoring. Okay, so and coming back to the Jenkins, so here you are not going to get the entire details about the Jenkins, but yes, we are going to use Jenkins to integrate all the stages, like how the code will be converted as a container and how that container will be going into the orchestration platform, that you can understand. Okay, any other questions? uh, and again, coming back to the thing, we are not going to work with a single project, guys. So I don't know how you are expecting about this, but the first condition is we are not going to work like a project. I am not going to take a single project and I will explain you about that project. So I'm going to explain you about the core concept of the entire topic, each and every topic, and based depending on that, I can create a single application for you, and I can run that application. Okay, here we are not going to go ahead with the project itself. I am not going to show you one project. Why? Because if I am taking one project, in that project, what I can say, this what I can say, in the storage, when you come to the storage concept, in the storage concept, they might not be using the ephemeral storage. In the storage concept, they will not come across the network file sharing. Okay, so that project won't cover the entire concept of your Kubernetes. Okay, some project doesn't require the load balancer concept. Some project doesn't require the external services. Some project doesn't require the RBAC. Like likewise. Okay, so it is very important. Advanced scheduling. Some project might not require node selector. Like that, I cannot cover the entire topics, entire syllabus if I take a single project. Okay, so I am going to provide you the basic understanding about the core concepts of the entire containerization platforms. Okay, so it's not a single project work, but yes, after the end of the sessions, you can say that yes, we can. Again, saying you CKA certifications, keeping in the mind, you can what I can say, you can get up to 60% of the marks by completing this course. I am not saying I am not saying you that yes, you are going to cover. I am not giving you any false promises that you are going to crack out the entire CKA certification. But yes, you are going to get a knowledge to crack the CKA certification once you complete the classes. After completing the classes, whatever the classes that we have covered, if you go to the theory concept, and if you go through across all the projects that we have, I mean all the classes that we have completed, yes, then you will get a understanding on how you can crack the Kubernetes certification. Okay, so that is the one thing that I can assure you about this. Yes, you will be having a basic and the knowledge which is required for you to clear the CKA certification. Okay, so that's the thing that I want to share with you. Any another questions? Is it 1 hour session every day for 30 hours? See, that's the another very good question. So what is the point here is we are going to enter into the world of containers. So today I can start a session at 6 o'clock, and I can wind up the session by 6:45. Okay, why? Because it's just an introduction session, so I can take it around 45 to 1 hour of session for 3 days. Okay, but once we really get into the Docker, once we really get into the container, I don't know, sometimes it might be taking around 1 hour or else 1.5 hour also, but yes, surely it will be 1 hour of duration. Sometimes it may be prolonged to 1.5 hour, sometimes it will be cut by 1 hour itself. So if you see in that case, I cannot say that will be completed in 30 hours. Okay, so it can take some time extra. Why? Because see, if I start this primary concepts, sometimes to make you understand what is a pod. So for me, it is going to take 1 hour of session. Okay, so the primary concepts itself will take somewhere around 1.5 hour or 2 hours of sessions. At that time, what I will do in that day, I am going to prolong the session for 1.5 hour to 2 hours. 1 hour will be the cutoff time, and it can extend up to and another half an hour also. So I cannot say you that it is going to cover only within 1 hour. Okay, but yes, it will be 1 hour. That I cannot assure, buddy. Let us see, that is what I am saying you. If I can cover within 1 hour, I will wind up the session. Why? Because it's a huge topic, it's not a small topic. See, you can think of these concepts are one of the concepts under DevOps. Okay, so these are all comes under the DevOps itself. Okay, under DevOps you will have Git, Terraform, Jenkins, Ansible, Prometheus, Grafana, and then what else you are having, Maven. These are all comes under the DevOps itself. Among those DevOps solutions, Docker and Kubernetes is also one of the solutions. But whatever the concepts that I have said, for example, if I am taking the DevOps classes, what are the concepts that I am going to cover? The first one will be shell scripting. The second will be Git. The third will be Terraform, and the fourth will be Ansible. Okay, and the fifth will be Docker, and the sixth will be Jenkins, and the seventh will be monitoring tools like Prometheus and Grafana, and eighth will be Maven. Okay, with this I will wind up the DevOps. So to complete this, you can avoid the Docker here, or else what I am saying you here is to complete this entire concept, it is going to take me around some 50 days of session. Okay, for all the concepts. But try to understand, for only completing Docker and Kubernetes, it is going to take somewhere around 25 to 30 sessions or 30 days of classes. Means you can understand how much humongous is the subject, how much humongous is the syllabus. Okay, so sometimes it can take 1 hour, sometimes it can be a little bit extended to another 15 to 30 minutes of session. So some days, I am not saying that every day I am going to take the session around 7:30 to 7 to 7:30 or else 8 o'clock. Okay, sometimes it can be adjusted. Okay, so that's the first thing. And yes, so this is about the entire concepts of your Docker and Kubernetes. I hope you are you got a very good awareness of what you are going to learn in the entire concepts of Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, so now you might have a question that okay sir, we understood about the syllabus, and that is not the entire syllabus that we are going to cover. There are some more topics which we are going to cover. We will discuss once we go into the topic, once we go into the classes. So what is the what I can say, what I can really say you here is how you are going to teach us that, and uh, what is the condition, or else what is the seniority that you are having, what is the certifications that you are having to say as these classes. Okay, the first and foremost thing is, hi, I am Chaitanya. So I will be your trainer for the entire Kubernetes sessions. So my experience with the IT industry is somewhere around 12 years of IT industry exposure. Among that, right now I am working as a senior DevOps engineer for an MNC companies, which will be closely working with the banking sector of African region. So I will be working with the DevOps, Kubernetes concepts in my company also. So containerization, Dockerization, and Kubernetes concepts and Jenkins concepts. These are the things that we will be closely working in my organization. So previously, when you see, I started my career somewhere around 2013. So I worked as a system engineer, and then I became as a system administrator, senior system administrator, and then when the cloud has came into the booming, once a booming technology, I worked as an cloud engineer. Now I am working as an DevOps engineer, senior DevOps engineer. So that those are the roles that I possess. And when you come back to the certification, and if you see, I am an AWS certified, and I am an Azure certified, and I am a CKA certified Kubernetes administrator, and then I have Microsoft certifications, and then Red Hat Linux certifications. So these are the things that are more sufficient for me to take the classes for you. Okay. So with an immense knowledge on Kubernetes, we can work closely with the containerization platform. So this is the experience that I possess, and this is the what I can say, criteria, or else these are the things, these are the possible ways, or else these certification will make me to train you on these concepts. Okay. So that's about my introduction, and I hope you are very aware of these concepts. And if you go into the concepts of this, once from tomorrow onwards, we'll start Docker basics of containerization. First of all, what is a server, and what is the main difference between server, VM, and containers, and later we will go into the introduction to the Docker. First 3 days it will be like this only, guys. So basic concept repetitions, and then uh, what I can say, 29, 30, 31. So you will have 3 days of session, and then on Thursday also you will have a session, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday there won't be any session. On Monday you will have a session. So first 4 days, whoever are attending, those are the free sessions for you, and from Monday onwards it will be a paid session for you. Okay. So be ready for the concepts of the containerization. Now you can go ahead with your questions. Yes. Oh, it's all for you. The floor is for you. So you can ask your questions, and I can answer those questions for you. Yes.
Uh, Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I know we will talk about Docker and Kubernetes. Are we taking any of the microservice or something like a deployment? How does that work, or how are we going to work here?
Yes, we are going to take it. Okay. So how we are going to take it, that I will show you in the Kubernetes. But a basic, simple applications that we are going to take, not a very in deep application. A simple application that I am going to take, and I will show you how you can deploy those. Okay.
Mhm.
So again, saying you, my stream is not into the development. My stream is totally into the administration part. But developers, whatever the development that I am doing you here, that will be helpful when you go into the in deep into the concepts of your development procedure. I know there are some Java developers. They can ask me how this will be helpful. So yes, when you write a code, and whenever you are running a code, so your what I can say system administrators, those will be compatible with some servers, those will not be compatible with all the servers. So here we are making the containers that are compatible with whatever the code that you have written, that you can run that container in all the servers. So how we are going to run that, that you will see in the upcoming sessions. But the point is, very importantly, yes, I am going to take a small applications, and then we'll go ahead into how we are going to integrate those applications, that you will understand. By the way,
You said, yeah,
I
sorry.
forgot to say you about this Docker Compose. Yes, we are going to cover the Docker Compose concept also. Yeah, go ahead.
You said you are taking DevOps course in DurgaSoft also?
Right now, no, but
Okay.
previously I used to take it, but right now I'm not taking. But if really the students are very interested to go ahead with the classes, yes, I'm going to take the sessions again for you. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, any further questions? That is what I already explained you. This training will be helpful for you to gain a marks around some 60 to 70%. Okay, remaining 10% of efforts that you have to put. Everything, see, if I say that yes, you can crack this examination by completing this course, that's really a false statement that I am providing for you. Okay, with my efforts, if you put some more extra efforts, then only you can cover the CKAD examination. Okay, again saying you that previously when see, I also got this training from XYZ person only. So if I don't learn extra, if I don't put that extra my extra hours of time to learn the Kubernetes, I cannot clear my CKA. Okay, so I can show you that 60 to 70% you can understand and you can cover with the scenarios whatever I am saying for you. But remaining that 20% or 10% that you have to put an extra effort. Okay, so that is what. Okay, so again saying you 60% only you can get, put a mark that yes, by completing these classes I can go with the 60%. So remaining 20% I have to work with. Okay, uh, see, simply I can say you, yes, you can crack the examination. So if I say you that everyone will go blindly and sit in front of the computer, so it's not an examination that is that you are going to write. It's not a written examination. Okay, it will be like a practical oriented multiple choice questions. Why? Because I have attended the examination, I know the severity of how much tough the examination, how much tough will be the examination. Okay, so the point is, if I say you that yes, you can crack it, everyone will be in a mindset that yes, as my trainer said, I can crack the examination. So you won't put the efforts. Okay, so until you put that 10 to 20% of efforts, you will not complete your examination. These codes will give you a hand to go near to the concept. Once the concept are completed, then you need to put some extra effort to complete the examination. Okay. Uh, as of now, only one AWS batch is about to start in the evening, not the Kubernetes. Yes, I have plans. Once it is this batch is completed, then I can go ahead into the evening batch. Definitely, I am going to start an evening batch. Not right now. I don't know. It might take some days. Yeah, sure. But my thing is, please join these sessions. Okay, so why? Because see, one thing I can clearly say you is my session, my work hours will start at some 9 to 6:30. Okay, so morning 9 o'clock to 6:30. So at that time, my stress levels will be very high. At that time, I might be extend my hours. So some days it can cover, or some days it is going. I have to give you a holiday for you. So the first and foremost thing is morning batches are very fresh batches, and I can say you an extra content if available. Why? Because in the evening I have multiple sessions. Okay, not only with DURGASOFT, I have some another personal sessions like that. I have so many sessions starting from AWS, Azure, and DevOps. So the first and foremost thing is whoever are attending the morning sessions, you can get a more content than in the evening sessions. Why? Because I have to hurry up. But in the morning, I don't have any sessions. So we can have a clear cut discussion about what is happening. So it will be helpful for you. So that is what I want to share with you. But still, if you are, I know there are some other persons who are working. So for them, try to attend the morning sessions. That will be very helpful for you. That is what I want to explain. Yeah. Apart from this, any questions, guys? Am I clear with all the concepts? Why you have to learn about this, and what is the basic necessity for you right now? Cool. Okay, so the IT industry is very much welcome for the engineers who are having a very good exposure towards the cloud. The first and foremost thing is whoever are trying to learn, what I can say, whoever are trying to go ahead into the cloud. And yes, there are a few people who are working with the AWS, and there are a few people who are working with the DevOps, and still there are a few people who doesn't know about Kubernetes. Okay, AWS, they know about AWS, they know about the DevOps, and they don't know about the Kubernetes. So then this is the best time to learn the Kubernetes. And those people who are attending to this session, this will be very easy. First thing is, whatever the concepts that I have explained you, this doesn't require a very humongous knowledge about the cloud, but outside how what I can say, how IT industries are and how IT industries are welcoming the targeted audiences or else employees is, you need to have a basic understanding about Linux. Okay, basically you need to have a minimum understanding about the Linux, so not very in deep. Okay, so you don't need to work with the SC Linux, or else you don't need to work with the what I can say, core concepts of the Linux. Okay, but basic understanding what is how a command can be executed, how to create a user, how to change the password for the user, modify the password for the user, how to work with the Linux operating system, how to work with the storages, NFS. Okay, so you need to have the basic understanding about the Linux. Not for this uh, trial, I am saying you guys. Okay, so not for this classes, I am saying you. I am saying you for your career. Okay, so how you have to plan your career, how you have to learn the concept for your career. Of course, there are some working professionals who are attending to the session, so I'm not talking in their point of view, but the people who are attending, who are freshers and who are just completed their what I can say, college or also internships, and they are attending to those sessions. I'm sharing you this information for your knowledge. Okay, so once you have completed the Linux, basic Linux, and then you can go with the cloud like AWS or Azure. Okay, so I am not very putting like spotlight on AWS. So but AWS is very easy for you to understand than Azure. So any cloud you can learn, either it might be Azure or also either it might be AWS. Okay, so any cloud you can learn. So once AWS and Azure, any one cloud you have completed here, then you can go with the DevOps. So here the most important topic that you need to understand is there is only a single DevOps. There is no such DevOps courses like Azure DevOps or else AWS DevOps. There are no such courses. So the core concept of DevOps is only one theme. Okay, from that theme you will be having multiple what I can say, DevOpses. Okay, so whatever the right now, whatever the DevOps in the market, whatever the institutes that are covering, and whatever the institutes are gaining their profits using by saying a single word called as Azure DevOps, or else we are going to train you on the AWS DevOps. So there are no such courses. Okay, so they are incorporated into the Azure, or else as well as in the AWS. So if you go into this Azure, so let me show you. Once you are learning the Azure itself, portal.azure.com, when I go into this, oracle.azure.com. Okay. Let me log into this. Hold on. Okay. So I have created this with this account only. So I need to get it. Okay. So let me go back here. I am not getting the code. Yeah. So this is my Azure portal. Okay. So the first things first, what I want to show you here is dev.azure.com. Okay. Let me go with the start with free. Okay. When you go into this portal, here comes the Azure DevOps for you. Okay. See here, Azure DevOps organization. It is taking you into the Azure DevOps, which means if you learn Azure, in Azure itself, you will have the Azure DevOps. So what will be there inside the Azure DevOps? So why I'm trying to tell you here is, don't get looted by, sorry, if I'm very harsh about this, but the point is, by the institutes who are trying to get somewhere around some 18 to 20,000 they are going to charge for the Azure DevOps. Okay, so don't get looted by those type of institutes. So you will have DevOps. In DevOps only you will have the Azure DevOps. It's one of the part. Okay, so let me go with for example, internal banking. So this is the project which I am going to create. Okay. So here, what you will have here is, you will have certain tools like, see there, repositories, Azure repositories. So just like your Git, and then pipelines, just like your Jenkins, and then artifacts, just like how you are going to generate with the Maven. Okay. Next one will be boards. Okay. So sprints and queues. So these are delivering the plan. So everything will be comes under the boards itself. Okay, so if you want to create a application, if you are working in a product based company, you know about the sprints. So whenever you are application in the development mode, so there will be first sprint, second sprint, third sprint, likewise whatever the updates that you are giving, those will be given on the sprint wise. So those will comes under the sprints like that. Okay, so and the other one is repos. So you know about this. In DevOps, we will learn about Git repos. How you are going to learn about Git repos? In when you come to the Azure DevOps, you will have Azure DevOps repos. Okay, so both are similar. So if you see here, commits, pushes, branches. See, look at that. Both is same. Okay, and then when you go into the pipelines, how you are going to generate the CI/CD pipeline like Jenkins, Bamboo, like in the same manner, you will have the Azure DevOps pipelines, and then test plans. Okay, so or what are the, or how you are going to work closely work with, like simply what I can say you here is sonar cube. So you are working with the sonar cube, or what are the code problems that you are facing. Okay, so do you have any repeated codes are there? So how you are going to check out with the sonar cube, in the same manner here you are going with the test plans. And then the artifacts, how you are going to build your application. So like Maven, how you are going to work with, in the same manner in the Azure DevOps also you will have the artifacts. So why I am showing you here, so I don't need to show you this, but the point is, so don't go into a false trap. That is the only thing which I just want to show you. So when you come to the DevOps, again saying you coming back to your career model, Linux, AWS, DevOps. In DevOps, you can go with the Git, like I previously said you whatever the syllabus is. And in the AWS also, if you go into the AWS, in AWS also you will have the same manner. If you see the development tools in AWS, there will be code repos, there will be code pipeline. How you are seeing in the Azure, in the same manner you will have in the AWS also. Okay. Hold on. Under development tools in AWS, you will have the same whatever the DevOps concepts you are working around. Where is this? Developer tools. Here you can see there is Cloud Shell, Cloud Artifact, Cloud Build, Code Commit. Sorry, Code Artifact, Code Build, Code Commit, Code Deploy, Code Pipeline. Just like how I have shown you in the Azure DevOps, you are having in the AWS. The same you will be replicated in the primary DevOps. So depending on this DevOps only, these cloud technologies has implemented their own DevOps. Okay, so there is no another DevOps that you are going to learn there. Okay, but the terms will be different, and how you are going to work with the Azure DevOps is different. So a little bit difference will be there. Apart from that, there is no much difference between DevOps or Azure DevOps. Okay, so please be cautious about this, and that is what the content that concept that I would just want to explain you about that. So that's why I took some 5 to 10 minutes of time. And coming back to your career growth, so once you have completed the DevOps, this more than enough for you to join in a company. Okay, in any organization you can get a job by learning these things. Okay, without learning cloud, without learning Linux, don't jump onto the DevOps. Okay, and without having the DevOps, there won't be any job for you. Sir, I have so if I learn AWS, that's more than enough to get a job. So AWS will give you an opportunities around some 30% of jobs will be there on AWS. But once you get a knowledge on AWS or else any cloud and DevOps, then your chances will be increased to 30 to 70%, 70 to 80%. And then after DevOps phase one, this I will call it as a phase one. Later, if you learn about the Kubernetes, I'm not talking about the Docker. Docker will be covered in the DevOps itself. Okay, but it's a containerization platform. So I'm talking about the entire containerization. So I took the Docker over here. So if you go to the Kubernetes, this will be the phase two of your DevOps. Only Kubernetes is the phase two. Okay, once you have completed this, then your chances will be increased to 85%. Okay, I'm not saying you 100% here. So your chance of getting the job will be 85%, which will be very happy that you are going to crack the opportunities. Later, nowadays every organization, so whoever are closely working with the cloud, they are not only working with the AWS, they are not only working with the Azure. So sometimes the projects has to be run on Azure, sometimes the project has to be run on AWS. So that's a cross cloud platform that you need to have a basic understanding. So if you complete AWS over there, complete Azure here. So when after getting the job, not while searching the job, you have to complete these things. That is not possible. After getting a job, you can go ahead with the Kubernetes or Azure, the secondary concepts, okay, and AWS, okay. So here the chances will be increased to 90 to 95%. There is no another way to get back, okay. So you can crack your job somewhere around 90 to 95% of the chances will be there. Why I am saying you that 5%, a few companies are requesting the candidates to have a coding knowledge also. If you have the both Python or Java or basic knowledge, that's more than enough. But I can assure you this, if you have this understanding, if you have up to here, definitely you can crack the job. These are the additional options that will be helpful for you. Why? Because right now so many companies are moving into the Kubernetes, so it is also a requirement for the companies to have the candidates who are having the Kubernetes certification or Kubernetes knowledge. So so this is how your career into the cloud should be, or else these are the concepts that you have to learn to build your successful career in the cloud technologies. Okay. So I hope I made you very clear about what you have to learn and how you have to learn, what is the syllabus that we are going to cover, what will not be covered into this syllabus, and what will be the timing, and that's it. So what are the primary requisites? Do we need to have anything else from our side? Yes, the prerequisites will be one laptop with an laptop with internet connectivity, good internet connectivity. Okay. So if you have that, we can complete. So the laptop with Windows operating system, somewhere around 8 GB, 4 to 8 GB of RAM, that's more than enough for you to clear the concepts. Okay. Any questions from your end? I hope I made it very clear for you. Any questions from your end? Okay, fine then. So that's all from my end. I hope I made you very comfortable with the concepts that you are going to understand. So that's all for today. We'll meet in the next session. From next session onwards, we are going to start the basics. And then first 3 days, you will have the basic concepts itself, and then we will go ahead into the concepts of Docker. Okay, that's all for today. Have a nice day, and we'll meet in the next session. Okay, yeah, bye. Thank you.